Hi everyone, I'm Himali Mehta. I'm a sports physiotherapist and today I'm your movement specialist. I see numerous patients day in, day out. One thing that I've noticed consistently is that y'all come to me only when matters become worse. They become too painful to be managed. By that time, the internal damage has already happened. In this series, we are going to address how to prevent that internal damage from happening. How are we going to do that? By addressing simple movements. Let's start by the simplest movement of all, walking. A lot of us have broken our hearts at some point or the other, and we've had no control over it. But let me tell you, we have two stronger hearts in our body, which actually listen to us. But where are they? Right here, in your calves. And medically they are called as the peripheral hearts. But for the purpose of simplification, we will call them Laila and Majnu. Now, what do these Laila Majnu do? Let me explain. Your heart, the one in your chest, pumps all the blood throughout your body every moment that we are alive. Now, everybody needs some support. So does your heart. That's where Laila Majnu come in. They pump all the blood going down to your feet back up to your heart. And that's how Laila, Majnu and your heart stay happily ever after. But sometimes Laila Majnu do not work that efficiently. They cannot pump all the blood back to the heart. We don't make them work. When we sit for long hours, Laila and Majnu fall asleep. They become inactive and they are unable to pump all the blood back up to the heart. And that's why after a long day at work, sitting or even standing, you will experience some swelling in the feet. This not only places increased stress on the heart but also affects overall circulation. In the long term, causing many heart related problems like blood pressure. Now, what happens when we walk? As we start walking, we activate Laila and Majnu, that is, both our calf muscles to pump all the blood up back to the heart. That is the reason why most doctors recommend walking 20 minutes every single day. So friends, this is the basic science behind why we as humans need to walk. Life is complicated and so is our body. When we talk about health, movement, walking, a lot of factors come into play. We've simplified the entire process by bringing in Laila and Majnu. Now, we are going to further simplify it by giving you 5 simple tips that you all can follow day in, day out. Starting with the first exercise, which we are going to do in the sitting position because that is where we are throughout the day. So all you need to do is sit with both your feet flat on the floor and lift your heels up and then lower them down slowly. You can do this 10 times. This will help activate your Laila Majnu and assist in circulation. Now, a lot of us are also standing throughout the day. So what we can do is adapt this to standing, which you all must have done at some point or the other. You just want to stand and lift your heels up. The idea here is to lift it up, hold for a couple of seconds if you can and slowly lower it back down. Again, 10 times. Ideally, you want to be able to do this every 2 hours. Starting with tip 2, walk as much as you can. The recommended is to walk for 10 minutes every 45 minutes of sitting or being stagnant or even just standing. You might wonder, how do I do this in office? So ideally, every time you take a call, instead of sitting and talking, move around, walk a little. Every time you have some work with a colleague of yours, instead of placing a call, get up, go to his desk and have a chat with him. That will not only give the much needed activation to your Lela Majnu, your calf muscles, but will also build a good working relationship with your colleagues. Tip 3 is climbing stairs. Now, climbing stairs activates your Lela Majnu the most, but only if you do it correctly. Let me show you how. So, what you want to do is, when you take a step, you want to push down onto your heels and activate your calf and your thigh muscles. You will realize as you start pushing down, your glutes also get activated, and then take a step and keep on taking such steps. You don't want to pull yourself up or run up the stairs with momentum. That is when you're not engaging your calf muscles. So in order to engage your calf muscles, remember the simple thing, to push down on your heels and lift yourself up gently. Starting with tip 4, let's talk about movement in moderation. A lot of us either overuse or underuse our muscles. Now, when we overuse them, our muscles get exhausted and they are not able to function efficiently. But when we underuse them, they don't have the strength to support efficient movement. And that's where your injuries come from. So the idea is to move in moderation. Take tiny steps every day, challenge yourself, and increase the amount of work and the strength. Tip 5. Movement correction. A lot of us, in spite of walking regularly and in moderation, complain of pain somewhere or the other in our body. Why is that? This is because we don't walk or move right. Now you will be wondering, is it possible to not move right? Yes, it is. You must have seen a lot of people walking weirdly on the road. Now those are some major changes, but even minor positional changes can cause pain up the kinetic chain and even in your spine. Let's see what happens. So here, you see both my feet, and one is kept straight and the other one I'm going to show you what those changes are. So a lot of us walk on the inside of our feet. So when the pressure goes on the inside of your foot and your foot rolls in, so does the knee. You see my knee rolling in? That causes the knee to lock up. Once it's locked, it causes a lot of friction and can lead to pain right here on the inside of the knee joint. Now this can also cause some pressure on the hip and lead to hip pain. Once this imbalance is created at the pelvis, you can have pain up your spine, and sometimes the pain can even travel as far as the shoulder joint. Now, every time you wonder, why do I get all these pains? Going from the hip, shoulder, knee, low back, think of one thing, maybe you're not walking right. Let's talk about how to walk right. So, like I explained, a lot of people walk on the inside of their feet. What we want to do is try and walk on the outside. So move your weight on the outside, roll your ankles out and try to walk. Second thing is to be erect while you're walking. A lot of us slouch and that changes the way our hips function. So you want to try and stand as tall as possible. Now, moving on, you also want to see to it that you're activating your glutes and your Lela Majnu. One way to do it is to ensure that while you're walking, you take your leg, drive your leg all the way back. A lot of us are just walking like this, small steps, and really don't use our glutes and Lela Majnu. So, drive your leg back. This is all you need to do to be able to walk correctly. Now, let's look at other aspects of walking. One of them is shoes. Wearing shoes is like wearing gloves or like wearing masks. A lot of us have recently experienced how difficult it is to breathe while walking or running or jogging when you're wearing a mask. The same way, it's difficult to feel things when you're wearing gloves. Shoes act in a similar fashion. Our feet find it extremely difficult to sense things with shoes on. But why don't we realize it? That is because we've been wearing shoes since our childhood. Our feet, our soul especially, has numerous sensory receptors which continuously fire and send signals up your body to your brain. Do you know that our feet have the largest sensory representation in our brain? Well, when you're wearing shoes, those sensory receptors are not stimulated enough. They fall asleep, they don't function. The sensory receptors also are unable to transmit all the important signals up to your brain which allow you to balance and move well while you're walking. They also become inefficient at making all the tiny adjustments and activating the correct muscle sequence for you to be able to walk. I have a good news for you. The more you use the sensory receptors, the stronger the signals get. But how do we make the signals stronger? How do we stimulate our receptors? It's easy, by walking bare feet. Can you walk bare feet anywhere? Absolutely. But the ideal recommendation is to walk bare feet either on grass, mud or in sand. All of these are firm surfaces. Can you walk bare feet at home or on roads? Yes, you can. But our homes have marble floorings and roads have cement floorings. When you walk on hard surfaces, there is a chance that if you walk incorrectly, your knees and ankles might get injured. Our shoes tell us a story of how we move, but only if we observe very closely. So here we have three shoes. First one is a formal wear which all of us wear to work. The second one are sandals which we wear for running errands or just when we are out. Third one is a sports shoe or a lifestyle shoe which some people wear on regular basis and others wear during recreational sports activities. We'll take a look at the formal shoes first. Now, let's observe the outside of the shoe, the outside border and the inside border of the shoe. You'll see a few differences right here. So, when you look at the inside border of this shoe, you'll realize that both the borders are falling in like this, right? The other thing that you'll notice here is this area has worn out quite a lot, if you can see right here. And the shoe is coming out from here. So a lot of people complain or experience this, that the toe rubs over here and the shoe tears off from here. Now flipping to the other side, here we flip the shoe and the soles also tell us a lot of things. So let's look at all the wear and tear going on over here. You see all this area right here and going up to the heel. And now look at this shoe and see all the area that's worn out. When you compare both the shoes, this shoe is less worn out than this side. That tells a lot about how the person walks. That means the person is bearing more weight on the right side versus the left. Now if you take a closer look at the heels, and you will see right here that this side is also worn out quite a bit, right? So now putting the shoes back down, whoever owns this pair of shoe, this shoe just told us a story about how this person walks. We end up wearing sandals to run errands quite a bit. So here, let's take a look at these sandals. You will see that both the inside straps of these sandals are falling in. Ideally, when you have sandals, they should either look something like this, where both the straps are even out, right? But here they are falling completely in, which tells us that the person whose sandals these are was bearing a lot of weight on the inside, which caused these straps to fall in. Now, a lot of us at some point or the other have experienced that this strap comes off suddenly while walking due to excessive pressure, right? Or we get cuts where this part touches the skin. Now that's because we are bearing more weight in that area. Now let's see a sport shoe which hasn't been used. So keeping this away, let's take a look at these shoes. Now these shoes are used quite a bit, but you won't see a lot of changes in them. So when you see both the insides, like we saw in the other shoes, are straight, they're not falling in. The outsides are perfectly fine. You won't see any pressure against these areas right here. When we flip the shoe over, you won't see a lot of wear and tear. But you can see that definitely these shoes have been worn quite a bit. So that is how each of our shoes should look. So a lot of people experience these problems with their shoes. Either the shoes tears off from the inside or the outside, the soles wear off from certain areas, the shoe laces come off. So here, let's see what kind of shoes you can actually buy or select so that your feet stay happy. So this is my foot, and here we go is a shoe. So a lot of people, this is the shoe which fits my feet perfectly, or at least I thought so. Now that you see the video, you will realize that this shoe is a bit narrow for my feet. I'm sure you can notice the width here and the width right here, correct? This is one reason why a lot of us experience that cramped up feeling in our feet after a long day. So whenever I wear these shoes, they are absolutely comfortable, but at the end of the day, I really want to just take them off. Now, these are my sport shoes. So here we go. You'll see a wide difference between this and my feet. So these shoes have the adequate width which equals to what the width of my foot is. A lot of times we check the length of our feet from top to bottom before selecting shoes. But we forget to check the width of our feet before buying shoes. And hence, we buy shoes which might be slightly narrow or might be fitting really well. What we need is shoes which allow our feet to expand. Now, because we don't have any options and we do have to stay in our shoes the entire day when we are outside of our house, what can we do when we get back home to actually strengthen and stimulate the muscles around the feet? First thing is very simple. All you want to do is keep your feet happy. And how do we do that? While sitting, while watching TV, you just want to take these fingers and rub them on the top, between each of the toes. So you start from the top, gently rub them. You can take any ointment, oil, or even a cream. A lot of us experience dry feet, so a cream would be the best. And gently you want to do some 5 to 6 strokes to massage the top of your feet and relax them. The other thing that you would want to do is press right in the middle of the sole gently. Some people who have plantar fasciitis or some heel pain will experience some amount of tenderness, which is pain at this region. So you want to press really gently, hold for 10 to 15 seconds. Do that 3 to 4 times. The massage on the top has to be done approx 7 to 10, and this is 3 to 4 times. So now we learned how to stimulate the lower part of your feet, and the previous exercise how to stimulate the top part of your foot. But all the tiny intrinsic muscles in your feet also require some activity. So here are a few exercises for those tiny muscles which help us move well. The exercise is called finger and toe exercises. So what you want to do is put your fingers between all your toes And all you want to do is pull your toes up towards yourself. So you're stretching the lower plantar fascia. Hold it for a couple of seconds and then scrunch your toes in. Roll your toes inwards and hold them for a couple of seconds. Now I'll show it to you all in the side view so you all can appreciate the movement. So again, here you want to pull the toes up and stretch and hold for a couple of seconds, and again push them down and inwards and squeeze and hold them for a couple of seconds. Now this is something that you can do 5 to 7 times. The other exercise is, what you want to do is, you're going to expand your foot away and then again squeeze it together and squeeze your fingers as much as you can. Again, expand and again squeeze. So all of these exercises you can hold for 5 seconds and do them 5 to 7 reps. You can go up to 10 reps. This will help activate all these muscles and stimulate the foot after being in the shoe the entire day. I hope this session helped each and every one of y'all. And remember, with all the techniques that we used, y'all can keep your feet happy and active, because happy feet equal a healthy life. And move enough, but move correctly. Stay tuned. In the next episode, we are going to discuss why we need to squat. But till then, happy feet. See you guys.